Hey, what's going on? This is another episode of the Big Red Wrap Up um, podcast for February 21st, 2026, on a Saturday morning. Um, Recently, other day, Kirk Signetti, pretty much the flavor of the month, flavor of the year, with the emphasis on years. Pretty much signed a new contract with Indiana. They say he's gonna be happy for a while. That smile's gonna be painted on his face for a while. But yeah, for some reason, it's when you link this toward the basketball program, it spells the doom for the basketball program. But that's my personal opinion. Um, but let's get right to the story. I do my commentating on this news and the link that it shows that it shows toward the basketball program or how it affects the basketball program. Okay, it's brought to you by Bleacher Report. Um, this was published on February 20th, 2026 by Adam Wells. Cincinnati reportedly signs new Indiana contract. Uh, How much money did the head coach get after the winning the playoff title? Okay, all right, let's get right into. After leading a historic turnaround for the Indiana football program, capped off by a victory in the college football playoffs last season, Kirk Cincinnati has received a new contract. Per ESPN, Pete Thamel, Cincinnati's annual salary has been bumped to up to 13.2 million as part of the terms of his agreement with Indiana. This marks the second time Cincinnati has received a raise in the past 4 months. Hoosiers announced on October 16th that he agreed to an 8-year deal, well, with an 11.2 million average annual salary through 2033. Woo, keep that in mind. Cincinnati was able to negotiate that deal at the time when they that deal at a time when he had been mentioned as a potential candidate for Penn State after James Franklin was fired on October 2012. In other words, that deal was meant to lock him up. Two raises, my goodness. Per CBS Sports, Shayna Jariah, the October extension for Cincinnati contained a built-in clause that gave him leverage over Indiana based on how the team fared. One of the clauses, for example, was that IU would have 120 days to negotiate a new contract with Cincinnati that would put him among the top three highest paid head coaches if the Hoosiers advanced to the college football playoff semifinal. If no deal was reached in 120 days per period, Cincinnati bow would drop to zero. Man, that says a lot. There is also a clause requiring Indiana to make a good faith effort to hit revenue sharing targets to remain competitive with other top college programs. Cincinnati's new 13.2 million annual salary would make him the second highest paid head coach in college football behind Georgia's Kirby Smart at 13.28 million. Since being hired Indiana's head coach in November of 2023, Gennady has orchestrated one of the most remarkable program turnarounds in college football history. Indiana won 11 games in the first season, two more than the previous 3 years combined. The 2025 campaign continued the upward trajectory as the Hooters completed a 16-0 season in which they won their first ever national title with a 27-21 victory over Miami in the college football playoff championship game. His 27 victories over 2 seasons already has him ranked eighth on Indiana's all-time coaching wins list. I didn't even know there was a list. Okay, he's riding high. Cincinnati is. That's an understatement. Anytime you see two bonuses, two extensions in a short period of time like he has, yeah, he's up there. One to lock him up, to keep Penn State away from him, and the other one for winning the national championship. Uh, I can't hate on them the football program because they deserve it. Because matter of fact, it's a paragraph right here pretty much sums it up. Since being hired as the Indiana head coach in November of 2023, Cincinnati has orchestrated one of the most remarkable program turnarounds in college football history. Hooters won 11 games in his first season, two more than the previous 3 years combined. So that pretty much it pretty much just tells the truth right there. But the thing about it is, you put all this. You see, it goes back on the previous episodes where you put all this effort into resurrecting a program that needed it. I mean, needed it the most. But where is the effort for the basketball program? Where is the effort for the basketball program? Or let's put it like this. What if you put all this much energy into the basketball program? I'm just saying. Because last night was it was a reminder. It was a message that that the basketball program needs help. It really was. It's been quite some time since Indiana has ever been beat down that bad. 29 against a rival. But like I said, where is the effort for the basketball program? But man, I just don't get it. I really don't. If you if you want if you want the program to return, at least I hope that's what Dolson wants. uh, put some effort into it. But there is no effort into the basketball program. That's why I personally, he's going to be on the clock next season during the freeze. As a fan, personally, as a fan, I'm starting my clock next season. I said I was going to walk with him. I said I was going to be patient. But dude, last night brought back flashbacks. Shoot, brought back flashbacks. Man, of earlier seasons of Tom Crean and earlier seasons of Mike Davis. Man, and I still, yeah, I will stand by this opinion. I will hang on to this opinion, no matter what. I still say he put so much effort into building his coaching staff instead of putting his effort into building a complete team, a complete team. But the thing about it is, like I said, why is Indiana on the back burner when they can share the same seat? To go back to the original point of this episode, Why is on Indiana on the back burner? Why do Indiana has to be on the back burner when they can share the same seat? Because, like I said, you put so much effort into the signing this guy, locking this guy up, which is the right thing to do, which makes a lot of sense. Seeing what he's done in his first season, seeing what he's done in his second season, yeah, it makes sense. But man, why not take some of them effort and put it into the basketball program? If you want to be a complete program, a complete university as far as athletics, uh, like in the days of UConn when both of their I think the girls and the guys were upper. If you want to be complete university, why not put in the effort to bring IU basketball to that same level? To that same level. Because it's been the fan base is craving uh, craving it. They've been craving it for over 20 some years. I told you everybody knows the history of Indiana basketball, as far as their title history, their accomplishments, and what they done. Last time they went to the Final Four was in '02. That was 24 years ago. 24 years ago. Man, wouldn't that motivate the AD? Wouldn't that motivate the AD or president or whoever it may be to put in some work into that part, in that half of the athletic program? 24 years ago was the last time Indiana went to a Final Four. Before that, it was 10 in '92. So Indiana has been to only two Final Fours since they last won a national championship in '87. And IU has caught them. IU football has caught them and passed them up and won it all. And won it all because of the effort that Dolson put in. Because of the effort that Mark Cuban, outside booster, has put in. But why does Indiana basketball have to be left out in the cold? To go back to that point, why does Indiana basketball has to be left out in the cold when they can share the same throne? When they can share the same throne, but for some reason, Dolson is going along with the program. I get with the president. I think she's a football fan. He's going along with the program with the president. But man, wouldn't it be nice to have the football in the basketball program sharing the same throne, sharing the same seat? Because because what I said is slowly but surely is happening. The basketball program is slowly but surely fading away. I know this is his first team, but man, it's the compound of the years. It's when the years start stacking up. This is coming off uh, this is coming off a 19 and 13 season. Woody's last year, where he pretty much had a very talented but spoiled team. That team should have been better than what it was in Woody's last year. But but that's another story. But the thing about it is though, it falls back on you giving Indiana anything, any Indiana basketball program anything. You giving the Indiana basketball program a bone and and some water, and that's it. That's to say you gave him something. You struck out with Woody. You gave the program a nice little fairy tale with Woody, a former player, and he was pretty much like Kenny Payne, except he had talent. Then you pick this guy out of the blue from Drake in West Virginia when he pretty much duplicated what Woody did in his last year at West Virginia, 13 and 19 and 13. Like, it's pretty much a duplication. But when you want to return to what you used to be, you got to do something different. You got to do something different. That's why all these programs are modern day giants. From Duke, Carolina, and just to name a few. Houston, which is ran by a former IU coach. That's saying something. He left IU and he built a giant. But like I said, all these guys they were pretty much was on the level with Indiana, and some was behind Indiana, are now pretty much full grown giants. But Indiana has faded because the lack of consistency on the maintaining that program. And that's what it's all about. You gotta be consistent. You gotta be consistent if you want to maintain a program. Which goes back to the original point. Why isn't there no consistency into the program? There's no consistency. Even Purdue, Matt Painter been there for 20 some years. There's probably been more than 5 Indiana coaches that he has faced. See, that's the thing. That's what during the heyday of Bob Knight. That's the reason why Indiana's a story program. Consistency, a commitment. Yeah, Bob Knight was a lunatic. Yeah, he was a loon. But he was a consistent, historical, great coach. They gave you 3 national championships. So did Branch McCracken. But man, is this what you satisfied for? Waiting for the football season to come around just to say we're, we're great again? Instead of bringing the basketball season up, instead of putting in the work and bringing them on the same level. Now the basketball season is behind. But our basketball team's behind. Their program's behind. They're saying something. But this is what happens. We are lazy and they are not committed to put in the effort to bring a program back. This is what happens. Because like I said, after 87, Indiana has only went to 2 Final Fours since 1987. 2 Final Fours. 2 Final Fours. But at least we got the football program. At least we put all our money in the football program. At least we made them our precious safety net. But the thing about it is, if you want to get tied to the money, you're still losing. You're still losing. Yeah, you're still losing. Because eventually the football season is going to end. And you got to face your original sin. You got to have to face your own neglection. It's pretty much like neglecting a stray dog that needs a home. That's what it's pretty much like. That's what the AD and the president has done. They made IU basketball into a stray dog that needs a home. and they're not willing to put in the effort to give it give that stray dog some help. But they willing to put in the effort to give this guy a big time contract, which he earns, which he has earned. But now you boosting it, you giving this guy all this money, man. He's pretty much. I bet you money. He's pretty much making more money than a basketball coach. I bet his contract looks way better than a basketball coach. I bet you money. But this is some kind of predicament. It really is. Neglecting. Neglecting one side to build up the other. It just ain't the same. Just ain't the same. There's some there's a difference. Yeah, we go. The football program earns what it earns everything is coming to them. But but what would happen if you put all this effort into the basketball program? I wonder what would happen. Because right now, in the modern day, yeah, the banners still hang, but Indiana is not in the picture. They're not in the picture like they used to. I used to be mentioned in the picture as far as a runner-up or a candidate for the national championship. When was the last time that ever happened? See, consistency keeps you up there. But if you're inconsistent, you get forgotten. You get forgotten. For some reason, they don't want. They don't want to. They don't understand that. The Olsen with his speech, how he used to be a fan of Indiana basketball, but actions speak a little louder than words. That's fine and dandy. I knew when how he used to talk about how he knew Bob Knight, whatnot. Well, it's good for the movies. That's great to hear. Good for the interview. But where's the action? Shoot. Where's the action? Well, that's all I got on this one. I ran my mouth enough. Just wanted to get this story out of the way. I picked it up the other day on Friday. But yeah, I would do it on that note. Hopefully, Indiana returns, but it has to be some effort put in to bring Indiana basketball back where it needs to be. Or like I said, to share the same seat with Indiana football. Because Indiana football is right now is the king of the hill. But but is it a sin to have them share the same seat with Indiana basketball? No. But I would do it on that note. Have a good one. Have a good weekend. I'll have a good rest of the weekend. There's another episode of the Big Red Wrap Up podcast for September 21st, 2026 on a Saturday morning. Y'all have a good one. I'm gone.